Thank you very much, Comrade Tumkulego, our national spokesperson. I want to greet the members of the ANC, which has been introduced to you. And on behalf of the IFP, let me thank you, especially the people from the media, for attending this press conference so that together we might fully ventilate an issue that has caused much speculation and concern over the past week. I also want to greet the people of South Africa who are watching and following this press conference. The IFP has received many requests for comments and interviews on this matter with the expectation that we would want to respond to everything that has been said by various people. However, we have not wished to be dragged into a matter that is not of the IFP's making, and we have been careful not to allow ourselves to be provoked by unfounded accusations which seem designed to generate tension for the purpose of political point scoring. From the outset, I feel it is important to clarify that there are two matters here which should not be dealt with as one. The first one is the incident at Wateza last Saturday during the 110th commemoration of His Majesty King Dinuzulu, in which the KZN provincial chairperson of the ANC interrupted the traditional prime minister to the Zulu monarch and nation at the podium, grabbing the microphone, telling the prime minister to sit down, and publicly chastising him in front of His Majesty the King, Misuzulu Gazolitini, and our head of the state, Mr. Ramaphosa. The IFP understands that it is the King's prerogative to appoint the Prime Minister, who serves at the King's pleasure and is answerable to the King. If His Majesty is concerned in any way by his Prime Minister's conduct on any occasion, that is for His Majesty to address. It is not the role of any politician to tell His Majesty what his Prime Minister can and cannot say. It is also not for any politician to question His Majesty's authority or wisdom in appointing his Prime Minister. The subsequent public statement by Mr. Siboniso Duma that government does not recognize the position of the traditional Prime Minister and that the Prime Minister has no role was unfortunate and added insult to injury. It is in itself disingenuous, as government and the President have long interacted with the Prime Minister to the King, acknowledging the role and authority of this position. The position of the traditional Prime Minister is close to 2 centuries old in existence. The IFP believes that this position, and even in all other kingdoms and traditional institutions, it is of great importance and is therefore supported. For the record, once again, the IFP supports Reverend T.D. Buthelezi as the traditional Prime Minister to the Zulu monarch and nation as appointed by the King. The second matter that I will deal with is an incident that took place after the commemoration had ended. It is alleged that after the event, some ANC supporters were assaulted. It has still not been clarified, however, who the perpetrators were or what exactly transpired. Regrettably, the ANC Women's League and the ANC immediately issued statements claiming that IFP members had attacked ANC members. In response, I requested information from the ANC on who these alleged IFP members were and in what way they were identified as IFP members. As this was not an IFP event, but a government event, and the attendees were not wearing the IFP regalia. To date, that information has still not been provided. Yet the ANC has pressed on with the narrative of alleged IFP violence against their members. President Ramaphosa himself expressed concern over the incident and made a public statement that the ANC and IFP will meet to discuss this violence, cementing the unfounded accusation that the IFP was responsible. The President did not approach me, however, to request for a meeting. I then received a letter on Wednesday morning from the Provincial Secretary of the ANC, Mr. Mtolo, purporting to seek what he called peace talks with IFP. I indicated to him that I will respond to his letter once I have given the matter some thought. After careful consideration, yesterday, 21 March 2024, I dispatched a letter to the President of the ANC, sharing how best we can deal with the Wateza incident, as he also commented about it in public. I therefore requested that our parties, ANC and IFP, nominate 3 members of our respective NECs, and these 3 assigned members will jointly facilitate the engagement of our PECs in KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC and IFP PECs, to ensure that we deliver the sustainable and desired results. We are now awaiting the response from the ANC President, as I responded by sending a letter to him yesterday. Yesterday evening, 21 March 2024, I conveyed the above information to Mr. Mtolo, as he had written a letter to me, because the matter had to be dealt at president to president to assist PECs to PECs to deal with the matter. Furthermore, we are concerned about Premier Nomsa Dube also peddling the same unfounded allegations against the IFP. It is quite one thing for one political party to accuse another. But it is extremely dangerous and irresponsible when those accusations are echoed by the head of government without substantiation. We therefore call upon the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal to desist from peddling this baseless narrative. The IFP is committed to peace and stability, particularly as we approach the May 29 elections. Any suggestion of political violence must be dealt with decisively to ensure that it does not mar the holding of a free and fair elections. The IFP is therefore ready to engage with the ANC through the process we have suggested. We believe it vitally important that an investigation be done into the alleged assault and that the facts be brought to light. It is strange that almost a week later, no evidence has been provided of what the ANC was so quick to claim as fact regarding IFP members attacking ANC members. We believe that at this time of heightened political sensitivity, accusations should not be made lightly. If we are to protect the integrity of this coming election and ensure that it is indeed free and fair, a higher level of political maturity is required from all political parties in South Africa, including KwaZulu-Natal. The electorate deserves better than mud slinging, so that we ensure free and fair elections and a peaceful environment in our province and in our country. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come so that we present our position as the IFP on the matter that is on the public domain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that statement. Colleagues, are there any questions? Going once, going twice.
So clear.
Twice.
My name is Dries Lindberg. I'm with Radio Siboniso. Running the risk of running a government, after you've said that it's the king who should talk about what the Prime Minister does. As IFP leader, the Prime Minister started talking about, I think what he called bias by government. As head of a political party, at a government function, do you believe that it was the right platform to air any such views?
It's Duma from Eyewitness News. Minister Hlabisa, will there ever be a time, according to your best opinion, where in this province where there be peace between the two parties? Because I remember on Saturday, I think we were speaking to News of Africa shortly after that particular incident. You say it seems as though at national level, the IFP and the ANC may have reached a consensus when it comes to peace. But it seems to be the problem when it comes to this province. Do you ever see such a time where what you see between the two political parties at national will also be experienced at the local level? Secondly, the Moirani Commission that investigated political killings in KwaZulu-Natal also spoke about the importance of parties coming together to ensure that there's peace, or they also be able to discuss some things like political tolerance? I am aware that there's currently that meeting taking place in Nongoma, but do you see it really yielding good results as time goes, or it's just a matter of we are approaching elections and we're building political tolerance? Thank you.
Let me just respond to the three questions, Mashasha, so that we are able to make clarity. Let me start firstly with the last one. On the question of peace and tolerance in KwaZulu-Natal, I can say without any hesitation that we have a relatively stable situation in KwaZulu-Natal. This has been demonstrated when there are by-elections. I've said it several times. People even dance for one song belonging to another political party, finding ANC and IFP members dancing together, hugging each other, shaking hands, wearing their different T-shirts. I think the ANC owe the IFP an explanation on what is a matter, because fortunately I was present at Watez. There was a cordial atmosphere amongst people. Some were wearing T-shirts belonging to a political party, and even the branding of the government function was predominantly yellow, which we all know which political party uses a yellow color. But it was not an issue, because we have reached a level where we know even if you can give me a yellow color or a white color, but I maintain my political ideology and choice, especially as we are going to elections. Immediately when the incident happened in Waters, because I want to put it into a correct context, I received a call from Mr. Mdolo and sending me a voice note that was circulating saying ANC has been attacked by IFP members. I said, Mdolo, can we get a piece of information which relates IFP to the attack? For instance, were the people wearing IFP T-shirts, or were they in any regalia of the IFP, or were they the leaders known as IFP leaders? Because if you say it was Amabuto, because that is what he said to me. He said it's Amabuto from the hostel. Now, not all Amabuto are IFP members. Some Amabuto don't belong to any political party, and some belong to other political parties other than the IFP. And even now, we want to appeal to the leaders of the ANC, because if we rely on a voice note which does not substantiate, we will create a situation which we really don't want in our community, in our society. As I'm saying, relatively, there is a great stability in KwaZulu-Natal and elsewhere between IFP and ANC members, except the incident of Wateza, which must be substantiated. We will take a full responsibility as the IFP if there could be proof presented before us that, look, these people were wearing your T-shirts, or a regalia associated with you, or are the leaders whom we know are IFP leaders. But if you don't present that, only rely on a voice note, we think it's reckless and irresponsible. But let me come to the issue of relations. I'm sure you listened to the press conference that was done by the provincial leadership of the ANC. some kind of words which were used. You can't find it said by ANC leaders at a national level. That is the difference you find between ANC in KwaZulu-Natal and ANC at a national level. It is for that reason, therefore, that the IFP is requesting the senior leaders of the ANC that can we please urgently intervene together in KwaZulu-Natal, because we know the kind of leaders, and I don't want to repeat what was said in front of the media and in front of the public, words which were really insulting. You can't want peace on one hand, but on the other hand, you are carrying paraffin, you are pouring into the fire while you are trying to bring it down. You can't do so. That is the kind of the leadership which we have come to observe and know is as such when you look at the leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal and national level. But in terms of peace, we have been having a stable atmosphere, ready to go to elections. But we are aware the 29 May elections have a lot at stake. People will do whatever it takes. One, to create an environment that is not conducive, and secondly, to have reasons that the elections were not free and fair because there was violence. So now, all leaders must be careful of what they say through their mouth. They must not be perpetrators of violence themselves, and they must not accuse a political party without putting on the table evidence that it is or it is your members who are involved in this scenario. That is why the IFP wants this matter to be resolved once and for all on the basis of facts. As we have said, we are committed to a peaceful environment, and we want these elections to be free and fair, and beyond the elections, we want a stable society. The first question from my brother regarding the Prime Minister of the Zulu Nation. When the Prime Minister was stopped, he had not said anything. Because we were all surprised that why is he stopped? Because he hasn't said anything which is tantamount to abuse of the podium. And probably if we can hear what the Prime Minister was going to say, we can only make a judgment on the basis of the statement that this was an abuse of the platform, but he had not said anything. In an environment where freedom of speech is allowed, as we were celebrating the Human Rights Day yesterday, freedom of speech, as long as you do not denigrate other people, should be promoted. On that day, there was not a single word which was equal to denigrating anyone, except when he started mentioning Mdolo, then the mic was taken away. Any conclusion of abuse of stage might be premature because he had not said anything.
Thank you very much. Can we take a second round of questions? Okay, let's finish this side and we'll come to your colleagues that side so that it's just easier.
Good morning. My name is Duma from ENCA. Dr. Hlabisa, during the media briefing with the ANC on Wednesday, Ndolo also said that the ANC supported the actions of Duma, where they are saying that his acts were heroic. From the IFP, do you also think that what he did was correct, or you would have wanted the Amazon Prime Minister to finish his statement? According to the ANC, they are saying if he did, or if he was allowed to finish the statement, the event would have been disrupted, and that was what the Prime Minister wanted to do, to disrupt the event. Thank you.
Letiwe.
Just 1 second.
Oh, 1 second, okay.
Global Siboniso from Newsroom Africa. My question is in line with my colleagues, Letiwe. It's with regards to, we've heard the provincial secretary of the ANC, saying when they're apologizing is that they're going to apologize to the king, they're going to apologize to the president, but what they're saying is that they're apologizing for disciplining an ill-disciplined character, but they will not be apologizing to an ill-disciplined character. What's your response to this?
Let me start by saying that is why we are calling for responsibility in whatever leaders are saying at this time. If the ANC says they support the heroic action of their provincial chair, but their provincial chair has apologized to the king and the president of the country. Now, what is it that they are supporting? The apology or the grabbing of the mic? I think it will be up to the public to make a decision, because from where we stand, it was sufficient if the chairperson of the province says, I apologize of what I did, and I'm apologizing to the king and the president of the ANC. Obviously, they have an issue with the traditional prime minister. And there's another matter. Now, if he says, I apologize, what are you supporting him as having done something heroic? Actually, there is nothing. And coming to the question of apology, we cannot force ANC to accept the traditional prime minister appointed by the king. Well, it will be up to them. If you respect and accept the king, and the king uses his prerogative to appoint a prime minister, and then you reject the prime minister, but you accept the king, it doesn't tally. If you have a full respect and recognition of the king, you have to respect the decision he has made until you have something tangible that you can say why you are not respecting a particular appointee. Now, when they say if he continued to say what he was about to say, there was a disruption of the event, how did they know? How did they know? Because he had not said anything. People should not hold us at ransom to say if this would have happened, this would have followed. But how do you know? Because he had not said anything. And the people of KwaZulu-Natal are matured. We have had a lot of propaganda. There is no any amount of propaganda that can be said by a person and divert our attention. And even as we are going to elections, any political party that will want to play with the feelings of the people of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa have gone beyond that stage. You can't divert their attention by putting them under threat, by misinforming them, by telling them that something would have happened, which you cannot tell us that how did you know it will happen, because he had not said anything. I think that is how Letiwe and Nobuhle one can respond to that scenario.
Let's go to Sisha on that side. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I do understand that Siboniso from Scroll Africa. And can you give us the conditions of the talks, if there are any? I'm asking this question based on the fact that it looks like people like Duma and their group, they are unrepentant. What are the conditions exactly for these upcoming talks, if there are any?
Can you take the second hand and go back?
Good afternoon to the press. My name is Nkosi Zulu of the Political Corner, an independent podcast. One perhaps needs to first see the deliverables of what we've been following from all the reports that we've been following online from all the other various leaders, more especially of the ANC. What we picked up from there was there is no recognition of the Prime Minister in national constitution and in the provincial constitution as well. So progressively, I would want to find out from the IFP and from Ubabongo Chawuti, should, after the 29th of May, should the IFP win as per prospects, will they be able to amend the constitution so that the Prime Minister is actually recognized and acknowledged through the constitution of the province? Thank you.
Can we take the final? Okay, let's just finish these two ends and then we'll come to you so that these things don't get advise us.
Let me start with Usihle. With regards to conditions, there are no conditions the IFP has put forward. But I want to make this clarity so that everyone could understand. The IFP at a national level cannot engage in a discussion with the provincial level of the ANC. That is number one. So we felt a responsible and sustainable solution, because President Ramaphosa was present in the event together with myself, and he made a comment on the matter. The matter is therefore at a national leadership attention. That is why we said, knowing the character of the leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, we need to assist both ANC and IFP national leaders to make the engagement take place. If Mr. Ramaphosa can respond today, tomorrow or Sunday, next week as early as Monday, the IFP is prepared to get into the process where the joint leadership of the ANC and IFP will have to discuss the terms and reference of how to ensure that we do not get a scenario like the one we had, one of making unsubstantiated statements, and two, we will be very happy as the IFP if evidence can be brought to the table as to how the IFP is dragged on the matter, because it does concern us. The event was not ours, and actually no political party had to use its regalia going to that government function. But it's a matter for another day, that one. We are not against people wearing what they like, but it poses a danger when a government function is branded with the political party colors. But we have gone beyond that. That is why we sat in the event until the end, because it doesn't threaten us and it doesn't confuse even us in terms of how you have branded the event, because we know where we stand. So now, precisely, conditions will be agreed between the two political parties to ensure that we create an environment that will be sustainable as a peaceful environment going forward and beyond the elections in May. And to Unkosi, the KwaZulu-Natal does not have the prerogative of making a constitution to recognize institutions as you have referred to. But I must say, the IFP is on record to fight for the full recognition of the traditional institution and giving specific rights, responsibilities, authority throughout South Africa. We stand on that one. If the IFP can be given an opportunity to be part of a new government at an executive level, we will take those matters to the table because they remain unresolved. But let me go further. In the province of KwaZulu-Natal, whenever the king is opening the legislature, the traditional prime minister of the Zulu monarch is the one who salutes the king before he speaks, every year. Now, if you don't recognize the position of a traditional minister, I'm sure the media knows, you can't speak in parliament if you're not recognizing. You can't salute in parliament during the official sitting if you're not recognized. So now, I think the statement to say they don't recognize the traditional prime minister was really irresponsible. Let me share again this one. President Ramaphosa, during the installation of the king, he worked through the traditional prime minister to the king because he recognized him and he knew this is from the time of King Shaka, which is almost 2 centuries now, close to 2 centuries. How can you come and say an institution that has existed close to 200 years and is playing a critical role in the society, and then you come now because you have an issue close to elections, you say you don't recognize it, it's not there in the law. President Ramaphosa, on the day he acknowledged Reverend Tula Sizwe as a traditional prime minister of the Zulu monarch and nation. And it is a matter of fact that the program director, Duma, did not recognize him. When the premier stood to speak, he only recognized him as the mayor of Zululand, not as a traditional prime minister, but thanks to the president of the country, who recognized him as a traditional prime minister to the king and the Zulu nation. That is why we are appealing that let us do what is going to promote progress in our country and unity in order to have a stable society. You can go to all other kingdoms in South Africa. They do have positions of traditional prime ministers. You can go to all other traditional institutions, even at a level of inkosi, ukhona undunankulu wenkosi. Now, if you will say we don't recognize undunankulu because it's not constitutional, but what do you say about what is held valuable by the society for ages, which also plays a critical role? Well, I'm sure as a matter of advice, if you want to go to the king, you go to the king through the prime minister. I just don't know, if you don't recognize the prime minister and you want to go to the king, how are you going to reach the king?
Thank you, Mr. President. Siboniso.
Good morning. My name is Zemasana Duane from Sunday Times. I wanted to go back to the violent incident that took place and the accusation upon you only receiving it. Did you say he who alleges must prove, or did you go to the constituency in Ulundi to say, can you check if our people were involved in violence, if our people were injured? Did you try and do a fact-finding mission on the side of the IFP?
I can respond. I want to respect the name of the hostel, but I can say it on record. When Mr. Ndolo phoned me on Saturday, he said, the people who attacked ANC members are reported to have arrived with 2 taxis long after the event, and they were coming from a certain hostel, he called it by name, from Durban. You get it, Zimasi? Now, in Watesa, Kwanongoma, then there are 2 taxis from a hostel in Durban. To me, it didn't tally in the first place. But I said, I'm sure all of you, ladies and gentlemen, you know, even the public knows, when an incident happens on a broad daylight, people take photos, take videos. You know that one. Even if it can be a shooting of a terrible kind, people take photos and videos and share them. They go viral. I said to Ndolo, can you talk to people there to share a certain piece of information that we can use as IFP? It can be photos, it can be videos, and we can track the people if we look at the videos. Now, he who alleges has to prove to you. Now, it will be difficult, colleagues and people of South Africa, if you are told that the taxis were coming from Durban. I'm citing Durban because we need to check the distance in between. How can you go and trace who left from this hostel to Nongo? And people who transported people to that event is the government. Because we saw there was a lot of transport, and when I was going there, people were showing their flags along the windows, and I said, but why are these flags necessary? Because this is a government function. Now, the police can assist to establish which taxi left from Umlazi to Nongo, because Ndolo was specific that the taxis came from a particular hostel and who had paid for the taxi and who were being transported from that hostel to Nongo. That is why we are saying the engagement around the table, not using voice note, because a VN is very dangerous. If a person can say somebody has shot so and so, and then circulate that voice note, you can't act on a voice note without substantiating the correctness of the voice note. Up to now, nobody from the ANC has said, look, here are the photos, or here is a video. It was on a broad daylight. It cannot be that such an act, nobody took pictures. It would be a strange thing on its own if that can happen. I'm sure we are all on the same page on that one, that in terms of technology, people are very smart now. They know how to keep evidence. I'm sure those ANC members were not alone. There were other ANC members who should have been quick in the first place. If we can get that piece of information, we will own it once it is proved that it is IFP who did so. But let me then go beyond. The IFP maintains its commitment that we are hoping once this engagement is done around the table, we will clarify these matters and go to the bottom of it and demonstrate that the accusation is valid. But we want to call everyone, one, avoid reckless statements, because you may cause violence by accusing other people falsely. Anyone who took photos or who have videos can assist us so that we own this thing once and for all. But put aside the failure of proving the allegation, we are committed to ensure that we have a stable society. We want to engage the ANC, and as we are making it public, the national leadership of the ANC must respond so that we jointly deal with this matter and not accuse each other, sometimes falsely, over the media.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just want, because one has been engaged with this matter publicly, I want to just reiterate one thing, Mr. President, of issues that have been raised. And I say it again. The phrasing that Tuzwas was using is the phrasing I used in one of the interviews as well. In the